Many thanks, Ijoma. Organisers of the Okpekpe International 10-kilometer road race organizers have increased the prize money for the 6th edition of the event scheduled to hold in Okpekpe in Edo State on May the 12th. $112,000 is on offer as prize money for the top 8 finishers in the men and women's elite race. The winner in each category goes home with $20,000, while $13,000 and $9,000 will go to the second and third place finishers. Okpekpe Road Race is the only IAAF Silver Label road race in Africa in 2018 and one of only 10 recognized races already confirmed by the IAAF for the first half of this year. The D-Tigers of Nigeria have begun their campaign at the 2019 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers with a 102-86 points win over Uganda in the opening group game. Nigeria trailed the Ugandans 17-11 points in the first quarter but rallied quickly to earn 36-29 points in the second quarter. The 2017 AfroBasket finalists completed the blowout in the final 2 quarters after gaining 28-20 points and 27-20 points. Nigeria will face Rwanda tomorrow in the second group game. Head coach of the Flying Eagles, Paul Aigbogun, has called to camp 28 players as the 7-time African champions begin preparation for the qualifying series for the 2019 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. Top among the invited players are the trio of Ikuem Udo, Peter Eneji and Nur Mohammed, who featured for the country at the 2018 African Nations Championships Chan in Morocco earlier this month. MFM FC duo of Egbe Ospino and Jesse Akila also made the cut. Officials said all invited players are to arrive in Abuja before Monday, February the 26th, with their international passports, birth certificates and training kits. The Super Falcons of Nigeria have been drawn alongside Kazakhstan, Kosovo and France in the Alanya 2018 Women's Cup. This year's edition, which consists of 12 countries, will be the second, and it will be held from February the 26th through to March the 7th in Turkey. The Super Falcons, who on Thursday lost to Ghana in the semi-finals of the WAFU Women's Cup, are expected to play a friendly game against France in April. Gennady Golovkin's hugely anticipated rematch with Canelo Alvarez has been confirmed for May the 5th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, United States. 2 of the world's most lethal athletes fought to a controversial draw last September, and both desperately wanted a shot at one another again. Many felt Golovkin was robbed by the judges last year, and he's delighted to attempt vindication in the same location as last time. McLaren have revealed the MCL 33 car they hope will propel them back to the front of Formula One this year, 2018. The car features a striking new body with the McLaren colour scheme reverting to the papaya orange of the team's early years. There is also a splash of blue at the rear and on the front wing. The car will be the first in the team's 52-year-old history to be powered by Renault engines after splitting from Honda last year. That's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
Betway, the premium online sports betting experience, is now live in Nigeria.
Thanks a lot, Ayotunde. President Donald Trump says the United States is set to impose fresh sanctions on North Korea, the largest ever. According to the US, the new sanctions are designed to put a further squeeze on North Korea, cutting off sources of revenue and fuel for its nuclear program. Previous sanctions have done little to deter the country in its development of missiles and nuclear technology as it continues its nuclear expedition. North Korea has long been a challenge to the global nuclear non-proliferation regime. For years, the United States and the international community have tried to negotiate an end to the country's nuclear and missile development. And the United Nations Security Council has delayed voting in its second attempt to approve a resolution for a 30-day ceasefire in Syria to allow the delivery of emergency aid and the evacuation of seriously injured people. The ceasefire proposal aims to save lives in East Ghouta, a suburb of Damascus, where government missiles and bombs have bombarded rebel positions over the past week. Hundreds of people have been killed, many of them civilians. Russia's UN ambassador called the draft resolution by Sweden and Kuwait unrealistic and proposed several amendments. Let's take a look at some judicial matters briefly now. The former leader of the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta, Henry Oka, has lost the bid to challenge his conviction in South Africa for two separate bombing incidents that occurred in Warri and Abuja in 2010. In a unanimous judgment on two consolidated cases, Justice Edwin Cameron ruled that Mr. Oka's trial under the Anti-Terrorism Act of South Africa was in line with the country's international obligations. Mr. Oka was convicted and sentenced to 24 years in 2013. Our Johannesburg Bureau Chief Betty Dibia reports.
The ruling was a unanimous decision presented in court by Cameron, and it was not in Mr. Henry Oka's favour.
The court, in deciding this appeal on his conviction, holds that the irregularity regarding consular access did not result in a failure of justice and that Mr. Oka's convictions are therefore safe. The result is that the court sets aside the judgment of the Supreme Court of Appeal and dismisses Mr. Oka's challenges to his conviction. The result is that all the convictions the High Court entered are reinstated, together with the sentence of 24 years that it imposed. I should add that at no stage was the court's discretionary exercise of its power to sentence Mr. Oka in issue. The only question before this court were legal questions.
After giving the ruling, Justice Cameron gave a 7-point order.
1. The application for leave to appeal by the state is granted. 2. The appeal by the state succeeds. 3. The order of the Supreme Court of Appeal upholding Mr. Oka's appeal is set aside. In its place there is substituted. The appeal is dismissed. 4. Mr. Oka's application for leave to appeal regarding exemption from prosecution under Section 1(4) of the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorist and Related Activities Act is dismissed. 5. The portion of Mr. Oka's application for leave to appeal that relates to the special entry on the High Court's failure to inform him of his right to consular access is granted and the special entry is made. However, 6. Mr. Oka's appeal against his conviction on the basis of the special entry is dismissed. 7. The remaining portions of Mr. Oka's application for leave to appeal regarding the special entries are dismissed.
It is not what we expected. It is a terrible blow. As you can see, Mrs. Oka can't handle it.
Our concern still remains that he's been treated like a criminal. And in our reading, in our writing, in our books, we regard him as a freedom fighter, and that's it. And it will go down in history that a freedom fighter was arrested, convicted and sentenced in South Africa, and even the High Court confirmed the sentence.
Mr. Henry Oka has been in custody since 2010, but with the reinstatement of the 4 dismissed years from his sentence, he will be now serving 24 effective years, starting from his conviction date of 2013. From the Constitutional Court of South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
And the main news again. President Buhari today pledged prompt action to rescue the girls abducted from Government Science and Technical College, Dapchi, in Yobe State. He described the incident as a national disaster. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Bonyato. Do have a great weekend. Good night.